recording this. So the first thing you want to do in these problems is you want to pull out your vertex. Hopefully from what we've seen earlier this week, that's something we're pretty good with. If you haven't watched the Ed puzzle from earlier this week or completed that Google form, you might want to do those before you do this assignment because that's basically going to be the first step in all of these problems. But if you remember, when you find your vertex, it's the opposite of what you have on the inside. So that -3 is going to turn into a +3. And then your outside part stays the same. If you look at your general form, like this a parentheses, the quantity of x minus h squared plus k, the h and the k are your vertex. Your axis of symmetry is always x equals, and it's the x value of your vertex. So whatever your first number is here is what you're going to set that x equal to. We're going to worry about the max or min once we get our graph. But what you're going to do is once you get your vertex, that's going to be the middle row of your table. So whatever you get here, you're going to put that in the middle of your table. So, and I'm going to go ahead, how you're going to plot on this graph is you're going to click this pen tool. And you might want to do thin because medium might be a little bit too big. But I'm just going to plot this vertex. So R31 is here. You just click. If you want to do medium, you can. Like I'm going to do it maybe just for this video so it's easier to see. But you're going to plot that point. But basically what we're going to do is, you remember, this is going to graph a parabola or a U-shaped graph. So I need to get a couple more points. And we're going to find a point, one to the right of this vertex and one to the left of this. So basically you're going to make, for your x values, you're going to go one smaller. So one smaller than 3 would be 2. And you're going to go one bigger than 3, so 4. To get these y values, you're going to plug these x values into this equation. So I'm going to use Desmos calculator to do this. I mean, if you have you could do this in a regular calculator. So my equation is x minus 3 squared plus 1. So I'm going to plug 2. I'm going to do this one first. I'm going to plug 2 into this x here. So I'm going to have parentheses 2 minus 3 squared. And then if you remember, there's a +1 on the outside. So I just type this in. You could put this in a calculator as well, like on your phone. But I got that this is equal to 2. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to plug, let me just erase this so it's on the way. I'm going to plug the same, I'm going to plug 4 into this parentheses. So instead of a 2, I'm going to put a 4. And I'm going to see I also get 2. One thing you're going to see on these tables, these answers are going to be the same. So you really don't have to plug them both in. But if you do, you're going to see you get the same answer. So we're just going to plot these two other points. So I have a point at 2, 2. So over 2, up 2. And then I have a point over 4, up 2. Oops. And if you ever need to delete something, you can click this delete and just like click on it. Like if you're make a mistake or if it's sloppy. And then, like I said, when you draw it in, you're probably going to want to make your cursor thin, but just try your best to draw like your parabola shape in. It does not have to be pretty. I have a mouse, so I have like a little bit of an advantage versus you. I know it's kind of hard on the trackpad, but I'm really going to be looking at your points. So as long as your points are okay, don't worry about how your graph looks, but try your best to draw it in if you can. And then they ask, don't forget to answer this question. They ask if your vertex is a max or a min. So remember, your vertex is this point here. So basically, is this the high point or the low point? So in this problem, it's the low point. So this would be a minimum. Okay, so I just kind of want to do one more problem, kind of going through these. So the first thing you want to do is find your vertex. I'm just going to click the select tool. So remember, it's the opposite of the inside. So that positive one is going to be a -1. And the outside stays the same. So that -2 is going to stay a -2. Your axis of symmetry is always x equals. And it's the first number of your vertex. So x equals -1. So we're going to start doing our table. So remember, your vertex always goes in the middle of your table. So -1 and -2. And I made each one of these boxes. You can click on them and type in a number. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to plot my vertex. So it's at -1, -2. And I'm just going to use medium just so maybe it's a little bit easier to see. And remember, we're going to plot 1 point to the left of this and 1 point to the right of this. So 1 less than -1 would be at -2. And 1 more than -1 would be at 0. So like you're basically going to subtract 1 from this x value and you're going to add 1 to this x value. Or you could look at your graph. Like if you look, like you're going to have an x value at 0 and -1. Like those aren't my points, but like those are going to be your x values, like 1 to the left, 1 to the right. So we need to plug these in to this equation. So I'm going to first plug in -2 into that x plus 1 squared minus 2. So that would be -2 plus 1 squared. Is that what it was? Yeah, plus 1 and then minus 2 on the outside. So that would be -1. So that's what's going to go here. And honestly, this answer is going to be the same. Like whatever you get here is going to be the same answer here. But if you don't believe me, we could plug 0 into this equation. So change that -2 into a 0. But you're going to see it still is equal to -1. So we're just going to plot these two other points like on the other side of our vertex. So I'd have one at 0, -1, and I'd have one at -2, -1. And then, like I said, you might want to use thin when you draw it in. Medium's a little bit, it gets a little bit sloppy, but try your best just to kind of draw in your parabola. If you can't do it, don't worry about it. If you just got the points, that's fine. I know it's kind of hard with the trackpad to draw on here. And then they ask, is your vertex a max or a min? This is also the lowest point, so that would still be a minimum.